The name's Bond. James Bond.
This Bond's era was a golden era for the James Bond franchise as well as for the watches Omega made. This time, the studio wanted to go for a back to basics approach. So they brought in Daniel Craig as Bond. There was already a bond between Omega and the Bond franchise from Pierce Brosnan. So they wanted to bring in the best out of this Bond. The first movie of Daniel Craig was Casino Royale. There were two watches featured in this movie. The Seamaster 300 meter coaxial as well as the Seamaster Planet Ocean. So the Seamaster Planet Ocean was a very big watch. It was a 45mm watch. And it was featured in the first opening scene of James Bond. Watch that scene, you would understand that the Seamaster Planet Ocean was the greatest choice because it was something very different during that time. Bond was seen wearing a rubber strap Planet Ocean, which was a deep sea diving watch. It was a very big watch, so it was a very action-packed scene, so the watch had to withstand something. And the Seamaster Planet Ocean is not a joke. And the second watch which was featured was the Seamaster 300 meter. So this watch was almost the same watch as Pierce Brosnan's. This was also a steel on steel 300 meter. In Casino Royale, there would be a scene between Daniel Craig and Eva Green. So she'll be asking whether is this watch a Rolex? And he would reply, no, it's an Omega. That's when things had changed from Rolex to Omega in a Bond movie. Seamaster 300 meter diver had the same blue tone as well as a wavy pattern in the middle and a chronometer rating as well. Welcome back to the last episode of the Bond series. So this is the final episode as we have not seen a Bond movie yet. If you haven't seen the previous videos, please do check out the playlist in the description as well as on the end screen. And don't forget to recreate the animations going on the screen right now. For the first time in a Bond franchise, Daniel Craig's era had a continuous story. All the movies he acted was a series. It started with one point and the characters were referred again or reappeared in the movie to face off the ultimate villain in his last venture. Quantum of Solace, his second movie, was a sequel of Casino Royale. Bond was on the run in this movie. So we had to feature a watch which could withstand his action. That watch was Omega's Seamaster Planet Ocean 600 meter coaxial chronometer. So this watch had a 42mm dial which was smaller than the Casino Royale Planet Ocean which was 45mm. So this watch was smaller and had a matte black dial. First time ever, all the watches featured in the movie were limited editions available to the public, an exception in the last. Whereas in the Quantum Solace version, it was also a limited but to the steel on steel 42mm Planet Ocean for the public, but it was a rubber strap Planet Ocean for the Bond movie. So there was a variation between the movie and the public version. In his third outing as Bond in Skyfall, again two watches were featured. Planet Ocean 600 meters and the other was a Seamaster Aqua Terra mid-size version. There were two kinds of watches featured because the Aqua Terra was used for more dressier indoor scenes and the Planet Ocean 600 meter was built for the more action-packed scenes. For the whole movie, Daniel Craig was wearing this watch and they decided to sell it to the public on an auction and it went for nearly $250,000 US. The Aqua Terra was a teak wood design with a blue dial, sunburst kind of blue dial, which was more flashier in the indoor as well as with the wardrobe selection of James Bond. So the mid-size Aqua Terra is around 38.5mm. The public version was again a steel on steel version and I believe that a similar model of this Aqua Terra is still available to the public but not as a Bond version but as a normal Aqua Terra. In Spectre, Daniel Craig featured two watches, an Aqua Terra 41.5mm which had the same blue dial as well as a Seamaster 300. So this watch was very special. Seamaster 300 was made taking inspiration from the Rolex which was featured in Goldfinger. So this had a heritage loomed bezel as well as a lollipop seconds hand which was very rare for that model. And this same model was sold to the public during the time of Spectre during 2015. And this watch had gone out of stock within the first month of the movie's release. People were so furious that they would get their hands on the Spectre watch, and it was never seen again in Omega's catalog. And this, having a NATO strap and vintage looking watch, was so good in James Bond's hand. And it also had a special feature in this movie because Q was introduced after a long time in the franchise due to some rights dispute, and this watch had a gadget where you can detonate a bomb by just rotating the bezel. Aqua Terra 150 meter blue dial was also a very good watch. This was also a limited edition which is available to the public in a steel version. Both of these watches were master chronometer watches, so by this time standards had gone very high. These were the first two fully master chronometer versions which was released to the public as well as featured in the Bond franchise, and it was a turning point for the watch industry. In Daniel Craig's last movie as James Bond, No Time to Die, extraordinary watch was featured. Omega had said in multiple interviews as well as Daniel Craig, this watch was basically designed by Omega and the Bond actor, make a unique piece for the last Bond franchise, which was also the 25th Bond film. Like, you know, the James Bond franchise had completed 25 years. So they did something special, and it was already delayed. It was set to release in 2019. And this watch was set to release also in 2019, but due to COVID delays, the production of the watch as well as the movie had postponed, and the movie came out in 2022. So let's come to the features of this watch. In the Bond franchise, it had rotating, detonating device, and it had a lot of features in the watch. If you look at the watch as such, it had a titanium case. This is a fully made titanium case as well as bracelet. It was available in two versions, a NATO strap version as well as a full titanium mesh bracelet. The movie had this titanium mesh bracelet mostly, but it did not use the NATO strap as far as I have seen the movie. It has a 42mm titanium case. It has a scallop-edged rotating diver's bezel, an aluminium insert, a brown tropical dial with a vintage hued loom, and a British Armed Forces arrow at the 6 o'clock position. So this watch did not have a date marker. So this watch had a symmetrical pattern to it, and this brown tropical dial doesn't look brown. It looks grayish to black color. So if you're in very bright sunlight, you can see the brown color in this watch. Talking about the loom of this watch, both the bezel as well as the hour markers are loomed. So it is not of a normal loom, but it is a vintage inspired hued loom. Loom looks brown in color. It glows in a greenish blue color. The both bezel as well as the dial does it. What I've heard from the news from others is that in Reddit as well as in many Omega stores I visited, they said that this loom starts to get, you know, darker during the days. The more you have the watch, like for in about 10 or 15 years, the more you have the watch, the darker the loom gets. So that was something I didn't know during my research, and this watch is available to the public at the moment at a very high price, and it is available in both NATO as well as titanium bracelet, so you can purchase the NATO strap as well. What I've heard from ADs as well as people in Reddit is that 2024 is the last year this watch is in production, and it is going to get discontinued after 2024, but that is a question mark. It could go till 2025 or it might stop in 2024, but most of the people say that this watch is going to get discontinued really soon, so you would not have any other watches in the market. So if you're an idea to getting one, so this is the best time to do it. This is the end of the Bond franchise till date, and we don't know who is going to be cast as the next Bond, and there are rumors that Henry Cavill might be the next Bond, but it is just rumors, fingers crossed. Anyways, even if there's a new Bond movie coming out, Omega is already the sole supplier of the Bond franchise, so there won't be any changes to the watch company, as they've already crossed 25 years and they've made two versions of the 60th anniversary Bond watch as well. One in stainless steel and one in canopus gold. One is priced at 8 lakhs, one is priced at 1 crore, and both of them look stunning with a Mori effect on at the back. I will see you next in the Bond series when the new Bond movie comes out.
Bond. James Bond.